Coming up on today's show.
They were overwhelmed with a business plan. So I say, let's do a bite-sized business plan and start with just the key components. And if we're going to narrow it way down, I mean, people take a year to write a business plan. They can be 100 pages, right?
Right.
We're not doing that. This is bite-sized.
You know, the concept of why you're doing it and that overview for yourself, if anything, right?
This is, to me, the fun part. This is the best part of the whole thing. And this is where you're planning your marketing. So there's inbound marketing and outbound marketing. And again, we are keeping this so high level for today's discussion. But inbound means basically that people are going to opt in.
How to organize a business launch today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello, welcome to Keeping You Organized. Today, we are going to help you launch a business or a project or something, that involves getting organized for a business. And there's a lot that goes behind the scenes, whether you're going to start a coffee shop or a professional organizing business or any kind of business, there's more to it than meets the eye. And the last thing you want to do is be unorganized. So we're going to bring in our good friend, Geraldine Thomas, Metropolitan Organizing. Geraldine, welcome to Keeping You Organized.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be back.
Good. A couple seasons ago, we did a show on more of, behind the scenes of a professional organizing business. And I know that you kind of consult with business owners on how to get started. And there's so many things that you have to consider when doing it that we thought, hey, this would be good to do a show like this where we could talk about maybe any kind of business. What does it take to get one launched? So are you ready and up for that task?
I'm ready. And I think this is wise. After that other episode aired, a few of your viewers who were not in the organizing industry at all contacted me and asked me about starting a business. So I thought, nice topic for today, right?
Right. And there's principles that apply to not only organizing businesses, but to every business. So okay, I decide I want my dream, which is that little coffee shop bakery with, the wine bar on the, evenings on the weekends. I got a great idea, but where do I start?
Okay, so most community colleges, business schools, whatever, will tell you to start with a business plan. Now, I know because of the people that your viewers contacted me, it was a massage therapist, a dog trainer, and I can't remember the other person. But anyway, they were overwhelmed with a business plan. So I say, let's do a bite-sized business plan and start with just the key components. And if we're going to narrow it way down, I mean, people take a year to write a business plan. They can be 100 pages, right?
Right.
We're not doing that. This is bite-sized. So the first thing would be to do an executive summary. And this is the big, like from the moon, people say the 10,000 foot, go higher. Mm-hmm. Just the highlight reel of your business. What are your best business ideas and what's your dream? Right. So that's step one.
Yeah. And I think, when I think about business plan, I think, I need to have a Harvard MBA in order to do this. And a lot of, I know when people put business plans together, it's because they want to go borrow money and the banker wants to see these guys, do they know what they're talking about or not? But even if you don't need to borrow money to start a business, it's good to kind of have that, the concept of why you're doing it and that overview for yourself, if anything, right?
It's really helpful. And this is part of the organizing process, is to have a plan. Mm-hmm. And again, I'd like to clarify that this is not the type of business plan that you would take to an investor. This is never going to cut it for them. This is more for solopreneurs, one-person business owners. This is going to be an appropriate way to go.
Okay.
After the executive summary, an industry analysis. So this is, where you want to sort of spy on your competitors and colleagues. And by spy, I mean, you just want to go take notes on what they're offering on their website. I mean, when I did this, I actually met with my colleagues and I would say, what do you offer? What are your hours? How do you go about this a little bit? And I, pay it forward. I do that with people coming into our industry. So that would be the second element, is an industry analysis.
And part of that industry analysis too, wouldn't it be like if you're going to try to do a local business, you maybe take an inventory of how many other like coffee shops are there in the area or
and what are their hours and are they serving food and is there parking? You just write every little detail that you can about that specific business. And then you kind of weave it into your own. You may choose, yes, I want to do something like that, or no, this is, they're going to own that and I'm going to to do something completely different.
Okay. Then what?
Market analysis. This is, to me, the fun part. This is the best part of the whole thing. And this is where you're planning your marketing. So there's inbound marketing and outbound marketing. And again, we are keeping this so high level for today's discussion. But inbound means basically that people are going to opt in. And you want to create content or an experience where people want to come to you and sign up for whatever it is you're offering. And that's how you kind of attract them and they stick with you. So you guys are great at this, right? You offer all these videos and people find you and then they opt in for mailing lists and maybe buy some things, products. Outbound marketing is the exact opposite. People don't really have a choice. It's there in front of them. And the most blatant examples are like cold calling, TV commercials, radio ads, when you push your shopping cart, those ads inside the cart, for product. So that's outbound. And again, super high level. If some marketing expert was listening to this, I'm sure they just hit the floor fainting.
Right. And I think too, if someone's starting a business, they probably know somebody, or, even like if it's a small local business, I know a lot having from a previous a job, the people that help sell you that advertising will sometimes help you do the advertising too. So you don't have to necessarily be a marketing expert to get that kind of information put together. Well,
and again, being a small business owner, a solopreneur, entrepreneur, different people call it different things. You don't have the budget, right? I mean, none of us can afford a TV spot or a radio spot. So if you can get some PR and market it out, use it for marketing, it's a very, very good thing, right? And it's almost always free.
Yeah, we used to, and I was involved in a sales organization where we sold advertising. And when you ran into people that had no budget, you ask them, whether you want the red plan or the blue plan. And they go, well, what's that? Well, you either want a red flyer or a blue flyer. And you basically you're going to go out and hand them out to people because that's, or business cards. I mean, word of mouth. I mean, that's what you have to do when you're starting, when you have no budget. You have to just talk to someone who's standing next to you,
Right. And referrals.
Yes.
And I mean, we've come a long way since I started my business. There wasn't social media, right? We didn't all have mobile phones. So now we have that advantage. Yes, it's time consuming and yes, it's laborious and it's tedious, but it doesn't cost anything except our time.
Right. Okay, good. So we could spend 10 shows on marketing, but we're not going to. So let's go into the next piece of this plan.
Operations plan.
Ooh.
And this is, again, in our industry, my industry, the organizing industry, this is where we write operations manuals, policies, procedures, develop your business forms. You come up with processes. So let's say you're going to open a B&B. It would be the intake process over the phone. Hi, you'd like to check in what? Your name, are you bringing a pet? That kind of stuff. Then when they arrive, what's the process for checking somebody in? When they check out, what's the process? And your bakery example, same thing. A customer comes in, your number one goal is what? On certain days of the week, you're going to do what? It's all the little details.
And it'll also help you figure out how many people you might need to help. If I'm going to do those muffins on Thursdays as a special thing, I need to have a baker. If it's not going to be me on Wednesdays, or Wednesdays, I need to block out time in order to do that. And the operations thing, and thinking through kind of, and I think when we talk about time management on some of our other episodes of the podcast, it's really the same thing. How do you plan your work, right?
Yes. And for organizers or a dog walking company or somebody who wants to own a massage therapist, boutique or studio, they might consider employees, like you're saying, bringing on bakers or whatever. But in our industry, it's more common to bring on independent contractors. Mm-hmm. Again, all of these little details and contracts have to be created and things put in place before you actually bring those people on.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, let's start talking a little bit of the money stuff, because I know that's a big part of every plan, especially a lot of new startups. How do I finance all this? How do I spend and receive money? So we'll get to that in a minute. We're with Geraldine Thomas, Metropolitan Organizing, talking about how to organize a business launch, and we'll be right back. Look professional, get organized at myorganize.life. Give your presentation a premium appearance. Hand off projects with confidence. Organizing products with a clean and vibrant look. Make a positive impression. Your important proposals and projects shine with professionalism. Impress your customers and boss. Look professional. Get organized at myorganized.life. That's myorganized.life. myorganized.life. We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about how to organize a business launch. You've got that dream of something you want to do, a service business, a product business, whatever it is, but you need a plan. So we're talking about stepping through at a high level here. What are the steps? What do you need to do to be organized to actually launch that business? And we have Geraldine Thomas, Metropolitan Organizing. Okay, Geraldine, at some point in time, we got to talk about the money part of the plan.
Show me the money, John.
Yeah, show me the money. Yeah.
So that would be the final point of the, light version of the business plan is the financial plan. Yeah. And this is where you would break down what you expect your expenses to be, as well as your income. And just, again, I want to give people high level ideas of what would go into, what it costs to start a business. It might be things like joining a networking group. So for professional organizers, that could be NAPO or ICD. It could be your toolkit. What tools are you putting in there? Label makers, some nice Smead products, whatever. Business insurance, licenses, permits, those things would be expenses. Professional development, classes, webinars, books, things like that. Your website. And I always say, plan for a dream team. And I call my dream team A, B, C, D, E. So A is for an attorney, B is for a bookkeeper, C is for a coach. I had to slide that one in there.
Of course.
D is for a designer, graphic designer, website designer, and E is for an editor, because we all think we can write okay, but really when an editor gets a hold of it, it's a whole different story. So that's, people that you will be most likely paying. Right. So that's, again, just a snippet of a financial plan.
Well, yeah. And I think too, the good thing here, I think we're getting into, this idea of, well, where do I need help and where do I not need help? And I've heard on some of our other podcasts, people talk about, well, make a list. What do you like to do and what do you not like to do? And that's sometimes a good start on where you might need help. You might love to write. Most people don't. But how would you get, how would you get someone to write? And, and the good news too, there's also resources like, the Small Business Administration. They have, there's coaches out there like yourself and others who have resources that you can direct people to depending on their situation. I mean, is that a good estimate of kind of how you would take something like that?
Absolutely. And now community colleges, there are so many online opportunities for learning that you can, learn on the weekends, learn in the evenings, learn 24/7. So lots more options now.
Right. So let's go back to that dream team again, and let's kind of pick through those the letters, because we really went over that fast, and I know we're keeping it high level, but I want to just kind of maybe say a sentence or two about how each of those people might work in, and would you need them all right away, or is there a point in time when you might say, okay, now here's where I need an accountant? Let's say that was A, right?
Wrong, John. Pay attention. There's a quiz after this.
Oh, I thought A was accountant.
A is for attorney, and if I said accountant, my bad. B is for bookkeeper.
Bookkeeper.
Leanne,
okay.
Did I say?
Roll the tape back here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. See, now I do need help. So let's start with the attorney.
Probably misspoke. So A is for an attorney, and that would be somebody to look over your business contracts. And before, my advice, before you take your letter of agreement or contracts to an attorney, you would want to have an insurance plan in place, because I think it's smart to let your attorney know what you're actually being covered for.
Okay.
And then the attorney can advise, you need to go back to your insurance agent and add, in our industry, maybe errors and omissions to your insurance policy, something like that.
Now, bookkeeper is more of the accounting function, correct?
Yeah. Yes. And again, you don't, in a small business, one person, you don't necessarily have to have a CPA right off the bat, but a bookkeeper is perfectly capable of helping you set up an accounting system, whatever type of software you want to use, Or in my own case, I always use myself as an example. It's my least favorite part of owning a
Hmm.
business, and I'm not good at it. So that was the very first thing that I put somebody on my payroll and said, you do this for me every month and tell me how to set it up, and I can, assist a little bit. But the bookkeeper for me is critical. And everybody's going to find something they like to do and don't like to do. Like you mentioned,
Right.
writing. I like to write. Sounds like you're not so crazy about that part.
Yeah. I don't know what I like to do. I like to eat. So I guess that's why I want that cafe and coffee shop, because it sounds like
I
a
was
lot of fun. I'd probably eat all the profits though.
right, right. Okay. So did
Okay.
you want to go on
Yeah, yeah.
CD?
Let's just get C, D, and E, and I think we'll wrap it up. And I know there's more we got to talk about, so we'll have to take this into a second show. But let's just wrap up with those last couple.
Okay, C, there are so many coaches. You can get an executive coach,
Hmm.
a business coach. I tend to be a generalist and help people more with their branding and marketing as they're launching their business and the processes. There are other people that have completely different coaching plans and programs versus one by one. So something to think about if you need a coach or just want to ask somebody direct questions, right? That's the fastest way to get your questions answered.
Right.
And D is for designer, and that could be for either a graphics designer. Maybe you want to put together your own website on a DIY type of website builder, or you may think to yourself, I have no clue what I'm doing, and this would be much better. My time would be better spent doing something else. I will pay a designer to
Right.
create my website. Or a graphic designer could do all your social media goodies,
Right.
create
Well,
images that you're going to post, things like that.
yeah,
And
the other interesting thing too about that is I think sometimes we think, well, I can't afford a designer, so we'll spend hundreds of hours trying to do it ourselves when,
yeah,
we're paying ourselves 50 cents an hour for something we could have paid someone more money per hour, but they would have got it done a lot quicker and we would have had more time to do our other things.
the other interesting thing about that is I'm seeing a very unfortunate trend in that a lot of people, small business owners, are doing things illegally. So
Mm,
they're using images that they just assume that if they give credit to the photographer, they can go ahead and post this beautiful,
yeah.
shot of somebody's organized kitchen or bathroom or something. Little do they know that that is a copyrighted photo, and photographers now have things installed where they can track where these photos are being posted. So
Right.
I think in some situations, at least an appointment or two with a graphic designer is a very wise thing, especially you want to make sure they're doing things ethically so that
Right.
you're not paying this giant fee. So
And, and
that's
and there's also lots of online resources for that. You don't have to find someone who's in your home. I mean, there's people in the Philippines, all over the place where there's websites like Fiverr.com and some of those 99 designs. Design has become like an international business where you can get help relatively inexpensively.
Mhm. And again, you want to make sure they're doing things
Yeah.
ethically. I had an unfortunate situation in my own experience. I had a new organizer contact me. She saw my media kit and she contacted somebody off of one of those sites and said, I want my media kit to look a lot like hers. This particular person claimed that they created my media kit,
Ooh.
and she contacted me. She paid a little bit of money for this, and she
Ooh.
contacted me and said, is this the same guy that did your thing, because it doesn't look like it? And I
Uh,
said no, and I paid a designer that I've been working with for years, and it was X amount of dollars. And so I had to get my business attorney to send a cease and desist letter to this person who
oh.
turns out looked like a man online. It was a woman,
Oh
and it was
no.
just a big long story. Yeah, so you have to just be careful. That's why I'm sharing this.
Right. Well, that's a good lever into our next show, I think, because we still have to talk about some more of those things like business structure, legality, some of the what I call the unfun stuff. But you absolutely need to have it. So you'll obviously come back for that next show, won't you?
That sounds great. I would love to.
Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting here trying to make stuff up, and that's not good. But before we go, why don't you let people know the kinds of services you offer and how they can get a hold of you?
Okay, the best way to figure out what I'm doing is to go to metropolitanorganizing.com. I offer professional organizing services for people in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And I also do virtual coaching, career coaching mostly for aspiring organizers, new professional organizers, and established professional organizers.
Awesome.
So I'm seeing my coaching towards the organizing industry.
Absolutely. Well, and you do great at that too. So, all right, Geraldine, we'll be back with you next time, folks. There you go. You've got the basics now of that plan, and we'll get more into the business nitty gritty, some of the legalities next time. So be sure you come back on our next episode of Keeping You Organized.